Welcome to the Parkland Report. Joining me in this part of the program, Lisa Costello, Director of the Art Gallery here at Parkland College. Welcome to the Parkland Report.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Talk a little bit about the gallery. How long has the gallery been in existence here at Parkland College?
The gallery's been in existence since 1981, so
time moves on.
It does, yeah, it's exciting.
Talk a little bit about the genesis and the concept of what a gallery is, why we have it, what the aim of the programming is.
Well, the art gallery serves a lot of different purposes. It's educational, obviously, for our students. So we have the 2 student exhibitions, which helps them prepare for a professional experience in the field. And then we have our faculty exhibition, and that highlights what our faculty do as artists, you know, in addition to teaching. And then we try to bring in different artists from all over the country and locally and regionally to exhibit their work. So we really try to have a variety of shows: painting, sculpture, ceramics, drawing. So
people might not realize that actually artists essentially compete to put a show on at
They do, yeah. So some years we do a call for proposals, and sometimes we have over 300 applications. So it gets pretty competitive, and I think there are fewer and fewer galleries like ours around that take those proposals as well.
So as a result, though, you get a kind of an eclectic group of folk who, because you do sort of cater to all the various different media, and really an international sort of gallery of artists that apply to come as well.
Exactly, yeah. So that, you know, just benefits the community, and it benefits our students and faculty as well, you know, to have that kind of resource here on campus.
So the gallery is funded, obviously the part of the funding comes from the college itself as an institution within the college that helps support our mission. But you're also funded externally with a couple of different grants. Do you want to talk a little bit about how that funding
Sure, yeah. We receive an Illinois Arts Council grant, so we just found out about our grant this year. And of course with the state budget, that's been taking some hits, but we've been successful at obtaining grants. And so that really allows us to bring in artists to come, like it pays for their transportation, or it pays for shipping or insurance. It also pays for postage that we send out to as our announcements, sometimes advertising, etc. But predominantly it pays for the honorarium for an artist to come here. So like our artist Morgan Craig, who's going to be coming from Philadelphia, the Illinois Arts Council grant will help us bring him here to come and speak. And he's also going to be a part of our high school art seminar. So we invite all of the high schools in our region to come and participate in the high school art seminar through their instructors. And we have, I think, 9 high schools coming this year, so over 150 students.
So the act of actually having an artist come to the gallery to speak to students, to speak to members of the public, I mean, that really is an added sort of advantage for our program here.
Oh yeah, I would say so. I mean, it's priceless to have an artist come and talk about their experience to our students. And, you know, a lot of times they reinforce what our faculty say. Like our faculty are like, keep a journal, keep drawing, you know, keep working at it. And then to have an artist come in and say, this is how I do it, and reinforce some of those ideas is also really nice. And sometimes they do it in a completely different way, and so it's things you've never thought of as well. But it's always interesting to come to our receptions and hear the artists talk about their work, why they make what they make, and you know, their experiences.
Well, I know it's great for our students to have that opportunity. Let's talk a little bit about the calendar for the year. I know you try to pack as many things as you possibly can in.
Well, we do 7 exhibitions a year. So our current exhibition right now is the Morgan Craig exhibition, and I don't have all my dates memorized, so I'm going to cheat here. So that exhibition runs through Saturday, November 3rd, and he's a painter and he does large-scale paintings. So he's traveled all over the world. He's pretty impressive with his grants, and he's traveled, and he does works that are based on decaying buildings, so he sees those as kind of a social commentary. So he'll be on exhibit, his work will be on exhibit through November 3rd. And then we have Shift Contemporary Photography Exhibition, and that's curated by our own faculty, Peggy Shaw. And so she's done a great job at bringing I think it's almost 10 artists who are coming from all over the country. Their work will be here on exhibit, and we'll produce a catalog for that. So that'll be on exhibit from November 12th through February 2nd. And we're planning on bringing some of those artists to come and speak, some of the Illinois artists. So that'll be really nice to have a contemporary photography show. We haven't had that in a while, a group exhibition like that.
Photography is one of those things that's very interesting right now because with the advent of digital form and then mixed media then, so people are using a combination of digital and sort of traditional
Yeah, and that's
photography.
actually what Peggy kind of focused on, some of the techniques and processes that have evolved out of, you know, even sometimes glitches with the digital photography. So how artists work and kind of look through that lens and see things in a different way. So
it's kind of interesting. Photography used to be something that was sort of quite a privileged art. I mean, you had to have a particular piece of equipment, and now I think 99% of the world population have a cell phone that has got as good a camera as some of what used to be the best digital cameras you could buy. And so I think that notion of sort of capturing as a photograph or as a still image, the world as you go through it is more interesting for students.
Yeah, oh, that's definitely true. And video as well, as you can see from you know, YouTube.
Right, which is ubiquitous, and where I think people go to get information rather than mainstream media. But, so painting is those are pretty impressive, both in terms of their the content, but also their size and their color. They're really like incredibly interesting images that he's brought into play. So looking forward to the photography combination right after. What else is on the slate for the rest of the year?
John Ekstrom, he's also known as Jack Ekstrom, but he's retired faculty from Parkland College for quite a while now, and he's going to be having a solo exhibition, a retrospective. And so I'm really looking forward to that because he's very passionate about the art gallery and comes to a lot of our receptions, and so it'll be really nice to see kind of a, you know, I guess large grouping of his work. We have some of his work in our permanent collection, so it'll be. I'm really excited about that, and he's a great person to work with and a really intelligent and kind of energetic speaker. If you've ever been to our receptions, when he starts asking questions, so yeah, I'm really happy that he was able to show.
It's really, I think, a testament to the work you do in that while on the one hand, you want to try to keep it as national and as sort of big picture as you possibly can, but there are a lot of opportunities for local artists, particularly artists within the Parkland community, to both participate in the gallery as well as show their work. And this notion of a retrospective is a sort of an interesting idea for a community artist, I think.
Yeah, it is. It is, yeah. And you know, it's interesting because a lot of people that we think of as local artists are actually nationally recognized. So that's also kind of wonderful. You know, a lot of our faculty have galleries outside of the Champaign-Urbana area. And so I think people forget that because they're so laid back and friendly.
Well, it is that kind of an environment sometimes here in Champaign-Urbana community, as well as our larger district, is that we have a lot of very famous people here that we not even aware of.
Yeah, brush elbows at Strawberry Fields, you know.
So what else for the rest of the year, or is that round out?
Then we have the 2 student exhibitions. So we'll go into the art and design show with students who have produced work this year, and that's from April 8th through May 4th. And then we'll have the graphic design exhibition, and that's all student work as well, and that's May 13th through June 20th. So
I know these are at least 2 of my favorite events, you know, with the student work, and I notice we have a lot more opportunities to display some of that student work around the campus.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about, if you would, about the evolution in the last couple of years in terms of the art and design and the graphic design, and how in both areas it seems like there's a lot of very innovative and creative ways of making art.
Yeah. Well, I think there's kind of a nice blend of more traditional work and then maybe something that's being more avant-garde. So I see that a lot, and the different assignments are always really fascinating to me in the student shows to see how they might have the same assignment, but how each student kind of solves those challenges in the work. And so for me, their personalities show up, and so, you know, they're never the same. So I always enjoy that probably the most about the student shows.
And students seem to be on the cutting edge. I mean, they're always on the cusp of sort of new discovery, but the new media, the combination of media, as art is sort of evolving, they seem to be right in the mix of that, and I think that's a testament to the work our faculty do to try to keep moving ahead.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, it's interesting with Paul Young. I know that a lot of professionals in the field come back and take classes at Parkland to kind of keep, I guess, a good tune-up or something. I don't know how to say it.
Well, in graphic design is another good example, I think, of like, you know, where maybe traditionally people would have thought of graphic design as being a very sort of, you know, 2D sort of format, not very creative, you know, creative in terms of use of typeface and sort of design and color. But that seems to have evolved as the demands of the industry have changed.
Oh yeah, I mean, some people specialize in web design and some people specialize in, you know, print. So there are a lot of different things that I think are happening right now, and you know, I think they really keep questioning what that is and coming up with new things. So
I think it's interesting that one of the advantages of the sort of digital media or web media is that you get so much access to typography that, you know, different types of movable type that it's so easy to access those things now for students. They can sort of find documents online. There are so many of those pieces that are available to them, so they can see firsthand what those look like in actual.
Well, and I love how in that department, they one of the assignments is to research a type, so they learn about the history of that typography. So it's not just choosing stuff for style, it also has substance or some sort of background implication.
Well, as if running the art gallery wasn't enough for you, I know I'm very appreciative of the fact that you took on to help work with the Global Lens initiative here at Parkland College, which is a collaboration between Parkland College and the University of Illinois in a national attempt to try to highlight some movies from parts of the world that we might not necessarily hear about films. So can you talk very briefly about your efforts in that area?
Sure, yeah. The Global Lens is a film series. It's an initiative to bring international films to different regions. So they select, I think they curate about 10 movies, and then they're shown throughout the year. So we can't show all 10 of them, but I think we're showing 6 or 7 of them this year. And so we've had some really great ones from like Colombia and from Turkey. We just had Tollbooth, which was from Turkey, Amnesty, which was from Albania. So it's really wonderful to see these international films, and they're definitely not Hollywood productions. You know, they're dealing with people who are struggling and really trying to find their place in the world in that country. But I just watched Amnesty, that was last week, and it was just amazing to see what it's like to live in Albania. You know, I almost feel like I travel every time I see one of the films, because it's not really polished, and you get to see some of the trials and tribulations that people are going through. So,
and an opportunity for some of our faculty and staff to interact and present.
Exactly, yeah. So for many of our films, not all of them, we have someone introduce the film and then have a question and answer afterwards. And so I think that's really wonderful, because sometimes the lights go up and we're like, well, what happened with that? You know, we're trying to figure it out and resolve some things. So it's nice to have that. It's almost like a book group, you know, where we kind of discuss the film afterwards. So it's very nice. And we have a lot of people showing up. We have, you know, a nice mix of students who maybe are coming for a class or they're getting extra credit. And then we also have people from the community. They're all free and open to the public, and they're in room C118, which has just been recently remodeled, and we have popcorn. So it's a great event.
Good reason to get
check our
there.
website for those upcoming movies.
Well, thank you very much for your efforts with the Parkland Art Gallery and with Global Lens, and we look forward to many great exhibits going forward throughout the year.
Thank you, Seamus.
Thanks so much, Lisa. We'll be right back after this short break.
Parkland was everything I expected and more. from the interaction with the students to taking in Cobra's baseball game. Kaiser gave a lot of one-on-one time and allowed me to develop my design skills.
Having taught for so many years, I could see where his future was headed.
The program opened new doors for me and allowed me to grow my career in the landscape field.
You get these fresh, inquisitive, curious, inquiring minds that I get to work with. I learn in the process too.
Catch live, play-by-play coverage of Parkland sports. Live the action live. Cobrasports.net.
Joining me now in this section of Parkland Report, Dallas Street Theater Marketing Coordinator for the Parkland College Theater. Welcome to the Parkland Report.
Thank you.
All right, great to have you here. Let's talk a little bit about an important milestone in any theater, and that is the silver anniversary, the
That's
25th
right.
anniversary. Can you talk a little bit about the history of the theater a little bit? And
Sure. This is the 25th anniversary of the Parkland Cultural Center, which was the Starkle Planetarium and the Parkland Theater, built in 1987. So October 1st, we had officially, we turned 25. So we opened our season with Steel Magnolias, which was actually written in 1987.
Very cool.
So to kind of bring it full circle. And we're having a celebration with our annual student show. It's a combination student-written murder mystery, dessert theater, and on one night we'll have a dinner theater in conjunction with the Parkland hospitality program. So there's a limited number of seats available to have a 3-course meal prepared for you, and then you'll move to the theater to your reserved table to snack on desserts during the show.
Very good. Talk a little bit about the what Parkland Theater means, the structure, where it fits in terms of as a performance space for the community, as well as a structure for instruction for our students.
Sure.
It's quite a complex operation.
It is. It's, we consider ourselves an educational theater that's community inclusive. So all of our theater productions, auditions are open to all members of the community, U of I students, Parkland students. It really benefits our students to be able to perform side by side with actors, who have logged a little more time on stage, to learn by observing. And we consider, the Parkland Theater an excellent representation of Parkland College.
As a functional theater, I mean, it's a traditional sort of proscenium sort of stage, but it's also got pretty good updated equipment. Talk a little bit about the background, the technical sort of apparatus.
Absolutely. I mean, we've really kept up to date with innovations in theater since it was built in '87.
Sure.
We have a state-of-the-art lighting board. We have this brand new projector. Lots and lots of theater productions are going with animated videos and projections that really help you, change from location to location in a split second. And our theater is very intimate. It's 315 seats, and if you consider a theater on Broadway, basically you're sitting in the prime orchestra section, no matter where you are in the Parkland Theater. You would spend, 250 seats for what they're now calling premium seating, $250 a seat. But here at the Parkland Theater, it's very affordable.
And our students get to not only perform in the plays as actors, but they also get to work behind the scenes on building the set and working on the technical pieces, working the light board.
Absolutely. Our theater scholarship students are immersed in all aspects of theater, so they could be working from pulling a rope to bring in a piece of scenery, to helping to design and build costumes, stage management. They learn all about lighting and computer programming. So there's a lot that happens behind the scenes. Basically, for every person you see on stage, there might be 2 or 3 people backstage.
Well, so what most of the public gets to see and what most of the people at Parkland College get to see is what actually is on the stage. We've already completed Steel Magnolias. Why don't you talk a little bit about the upcoming season?
Well, sure. November 1st through 4th is Merely Players, our annual student production, and all of the proceeds from that go to support the Randall Millis Scholarship Fund. A week later, a very quick turnaround, we're producing for 5 performances only, Too Much Light Makes the Baby Go Blind. It's basically 30 plays in 60 minutes. The audience shouts out, 23, and the troupe of actors have to be ready to jump to play number 23 wherever it is in the theater and perform it at a moment's notice. So it's very spontaneous and unrehearsed, and we're performing Christopher Durang's The Actor's Nightmare before that as kind of a warm-up, and it's really quite, apropos, since it's an actor who doesn't know which play he's performing.
Is that a staged reading or an actual dramatic performance?
It'll be an actual
Very good.
staged performance of it. And so, but Too Much Light Makes the Baby Go Blind it's a really unique theater experience.
So very inclusive, sort of involves the audience
Yes.
and breaking down that wall there.
And there's a clock, that's ticking backwards from 60 minutes. So if you get to 0 and you're not through with the plays, that's it. That's all she wrote.
So how many actors do we think are going to be involved in this?
There's a troupe of like 9 actors in the company.
That's very demanding on the actor.
Absolutely.
As it goes through. So we very quickly get through the fall. What's on tap for coming up?
Then we're producing a classic American comedy by Kaufman and Hart, You Can't Take It With You, and that will be directed by our new program director, Joy Hoffsummer. And that's kind of a classic 1930s comedy about this eccentric New York family who are very liberal, and the daughter falls in love with a conservative, and it's kind of about the clash of liberal versus conservative in this wonderful play that, I mean, to say that they don't write them like that anymore is an understatement. It has a cast of 19.
Wow.
No one's really writing large-scale casts, plays these days.
And well, probably an interesting too from a social and cultural standpoint in this country right now. Those are the kinds of conversations that people are having, so it's kind of apropos.
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit about some of the outside help we get with the Parkland Theatre. I know that we rely a lot on the help of the community actors, but we also rely a lot on the technical expertise and skills of folks who are in the larger theatre community.
Absolutely. We frequently have guest directors and guest designers, and lighting designers and costume designers. So we really require or rely on the training of these people who are working in theater.
And excellent, of course, for our students then who get to be exposed to sort of a different perspective, and folks from the University of Illinois who come over and do some
Absolutely.
stuff for them. So it's really good. Where do we go next?
We're winding up the season with a musical comedy directed by yours truly, The Mystery of Edwin Drood, which in 1986 won a whole slew of Tonys, Best Musical, Best Score, Best Book. But it's basically a musical within a musical. It's based on Charles Dickens's unfinished murder mystery. Dickens was a very smart businessman, and he was writing what he deemed the greatest mystery of all time. And he published it in installments. The plan was to do 12 chapters for this mystery, and after the 6th chapter, he died. So you can imagine it would be like America reading Stephen King, and you get halfway through and the pages are blank. So this is an English music hall theater company who are putting on a musical version of The Mystery of Edwin Drood. When it gets to the point in the play where Dickens wrote no more, it gets turned over to the audience. So it's a very interactive theater piece where the actors are actually in the theater conversing with you. And there are 8 suspects, and there are about 400 variations the way this thing can play out.
Wow.
So the actors have to learn material that they'll never perform, chances are, and the orchestra has to be ready to flip pages because this person did it on this night. So nothing is predetermined. Wow. entirely up to the audience how it all plays out.
So do I detect a theme for this year?
There's a little bit, you know, crowd pleasers and audience interaction.
The audience interaction piece is very interesting, and also the mapping of genres, you know, from a music hall to the Mystery of Edmund Drood as a sort of an installment novel.
Right.
So, you know, I grew up watching a program on television called The Good Old Days, which was a reenactment of a 19th century music hall
Right.
on TV. With lots of very interesting things that are totally unusual, and I'm wondering if some of those pieces are involved. I mean, you would have a comedy sketch, you would have a sort of a musical turn, you would have a duet.
All of that is in there. There's
Yeah.
there's the comics, and basically the actors of the show play two roles. They play, they take the role of Angela Prysock, who's the grande dame of the English music hall, and she ends up playing the character Princess Puffer, who is the purveyor of opium in this den in the Dickens novel. So she has her songs, and many of them you can consider that they would be performed night to night in any English music hall, but they've been adapted to be shoehorned into the play. So it's a mixture of really some glorious theater writing and some catchy, raucous English music hall songs.
Well, that sounds like a wonderful ending to the season, and we look forward to seeing the different pieces as they're performed on stage, and wish you all the best for a wonderful season.
Thank you very much.
And that's it for this edition of Parkland Report. We'll see you back here next time.